Even so, how did it come into Saskia's hand?
A good point. We can't be sure if the prince poisoned the wine.
Stannis is blowing hot and cold. Everyone knows that.
You were supposed to prove his guilt, not insult him, yokel.
Tell us who else would do it. A peasant wanted to hurt the miss? Never. It's cause of her you noble dogs can't ignore us. A pig won't cut its own throat. A peasant's not foolish enough to raise his hand against his savior.
Perhaps it is no peasant's deed. However, that doesn't mean the prince is guilty, fool.
Answer me this. Was not Stannis' room next to Saskia's? Do not the wines come from his own lice-ridden cellar? Can he not enter the Virgin's kitchen at will? Yes. His serene dumbhead the prince can, curses on his kin. Nobody in Vergen wants to kill Saskia. And even if they wanted, nobody but Stannis could do it.
You're wrong, Colton. Reverend Olkin wanted to get rid of Saskia. He thought she was a monster at heart.
Olkin was on Stannis' leash like a dog.
How dare
he
you,
was
lout!
who we killed at the meeting.
Do you
That's
imagine
right.
if someone sits next to a married lady, he's surely fucking her?
The priest tried to convince Prince Stennis to join the conspiracy.
Is Stannis some dimwit foundling that he dances to a lousy priest's tune? Olcan got what he deserved when Hensel cleaved his head. Now it's Stannis' time.
There is no proof the prince agreed.
The priest asked him for admittance to the kitchen.
So he didn't poison the Virgin himself, but allowed her to be poisoned.
Those are just words. Too much guesswork and not enough evidence. You can't convict anyone based on that.
Your Highness, this is dangerous.
I am not afraid. Fear is a commoner's trait. What do you want, to judge me? Is a prince a common thief who steals a dozen eggs at the market? You stand before royal majesty, and you raise your hands against it. In this world there are crimes that can be forgiven, and crimes that, by any means, cannot. Just as a mother killing her own child, or a man slitting his own brother's throat cannot be forgiven. A crime against one anointed by the gods themselves also cannot be condoned. He who raises hand against divine right is not worthy to walk this world. And what about he who poisons the Virgin of Edern? Firstly, Saskia is alive, so no one can blame me for her death. Secondly, you have no proof that it was I who tried to murder her. And thirdly, I assure all gathered here, I won't rise above the law. However, only she, the Virgin of Edern, can judge me. Can it? And if Saskia won't get well, who's gonna judge you? I believe she can be cured. But if the gods decide otherwise, we'll summon a coven of the wise who can pass just sentence.
Those are words worthy of a true sovereign.
I am the one you should look to for guidance. Let my deeds be the flame that lights up your darkness.
The prince has a right to a fair trial, no matter if he's guilty or not. We can't deny him that. What will the peasants do if we hand them the prince? Will they hear him out? No. They'll hang him from the nearest tree or tear him limb from limb. What will happen if we allow a lynching? What if people see that might makes right? Who'll guarantee they won't desire to avenge their wrongs, real and imagined? Who'll protect people whose only fault is noble birth from the exasperated mob? And where will it lead?
The peasants are furious.
They didn't dare mount a frontal attack.
But they haven't forgotten about Stennis, and won't. It'll be that way until Saskia regains consciousness.
She won't keep order by strength alone.
Unless it's a great strength.
We need an authority figure, and royal blood.
5 courts go to waste in the Dwarven dungeon at the moment.
There's also Henselt.
Going into that haunted mist is madness. Stealing Stennis away would be easier.
No. Anything involving Stennis will cause a riot.
I've had enough of the peasants and nobles barking. Saskia's the best leader I know. But she can't hope to defeat Henselt's army with this rabble, which is why I'm going to get reinforcements.
Where?
4 Squirtal units await in hiding to the east. Time to summon them.
You'll make it in time?
I must.
Okay. So we accomplished nothing.
I never finished telling you about the canary.
I had a dream. We were mining up at the face of the drive, like in the old days.
I remember.
Wait, what? You were supposed to be figuring something out.
I tried locating Triss, but the mist disrupts the megascope. There's a weak signal nearby, probably on the other side.
In the Kedweni camp?
You'll have to pass through the mist.
The mist is full of wraiths.
I'll help you. I'm continuously scanning the battlefield. I'll show you the way through. I'll find you when you enter the mist.
Farewell, then.
We still need royal blood.
I know. Henselt.
We need his blood, not his death.
How many times do I have to tell you I'm not a kingslayer?
Really? Nothing?
You wanted to discuss something?
I found an immortal.
Excellent. You wanted to discuss something?
At the council, you mentioned artifacts were needed to undo the curse.
But I can't look for them now.
I can do that.
Why?
I have my reasons. Tell me something. What happened here 3 years ago?
Henselt attacked Edern, but met his match. Nobody won that war. Sabrina Glefisig got into a conflict with the commander-in-chief of the Kedweni forces, and this led to both armies being routed. Fireballs turned the battlefield into a flaming tomb. Henselt accused Sabrina of using a forbidden weapon.
And Sabrina cursed Henselt.
I think so. I suspect the curse got out of hand because of the circumstances.
Circumstances? The stars weren't right, wrong phase of the moon. There's always an excuse for simple bungling.
She placed the curse while burning at the stake. Her hands and feet nailed to a wagon wheel. I'd say she did a good job, considering.
Know anything about blood curses?
Do you?
We're dealing with a 4th level curse, also known as the Curse of the Archmistress.
Well, well, I'm impressed.
Thing is, until now I thought it was only a myth, that such a curse couldn't be cast.
You thought wrong. There are 6 confirmed cases of this curse being inflicted.
What about confirmed cases of it being lifted?
1. Achieved by a team of sorcerers led by Archmistress Francesca Finderbear, hence the curse's other name. Sabrina Glefisig was on the team.
Small world.
That's not all. The curse investigated by Francesca and Sabrina was designed to end the Tyson dynasty, the rulers of Kovir. They were cursed by Scarlet Rodalega, a complete madman, but very talented. An eclipse and wraiths also accompanied his curse.
So Sabrina's curse is just a knockoff Rodalega.
Exactly.
Can Francesca's experience help us?
Certainly. I know the symbols and the workings of the curse thanks to her.
Care to explain? I'm the one risking my neck.
You'll have to relive the battle and change its course at the right moment. I don't know exactly what will happen. Nobody does.
I'll look for those artifacts. Did you notice? Not all the ghosts were aggressive.
Yes. Most just disappeared when they touched the aura of a living person.
I think the curse corrupts the ghosts of the fallen and turns them into draugrs.
Is that the Witcher's professional name for wraiths?
Draugrs are demons of war. They arise at sites of exceptionally vicious, bloody battles. Their bloodlust and hatred in condensed form.
Can you kill them by conventional means?
A silver sword is enough for a draugr, but as long as the curse remains active, new ones will arise. The soldiers' ghosts are the key. If I could turn the tide of the battle...
For that you'll need symbols of war belonging to those who fell in battle. Hatred, death, courage, and faith. All artifacts must be magically active and connected to the fallen, or they won't lure the ghosts.
Right. I'll look around.
Finding 2 will be enough. Get the symbols of hatred and death and leave the rest to me.
I'd prefer courage and faith.
Don't fuss.
I'll see what I can do. Cecil seems to know a lot about the area. I'm good for now. I'll let you know when I learn something.
You wanted to discuss something?
You said we'd need a magical object to cure Saskia. Any ideas where I might start looking?
Magical items do not grow on trees, as you know. Luckily, this area has a long history. There's the Battle of Wraiths, the site of Sabrina Glevisig's death and suffering, the abandoned mines.
I was hoping you'd be specific.
I won't ask you to traipse around with a divining rod, but please try to be a little inventive. Ask the locals, that's always a good place to start. I dare say Alderman Burden knows every last stone in the area. Maybe you should see him.
All right, 1 billion more tasks. Woo! I need to talk to her about something too.
Who are you?
I'm Cynthia, a mage in training. Philippa is my mentor.
My condolences.
No need for that. True, she's a demanding mistress, but she can also be charming. Besides, she's the best there is, Witcher. She has no equals, excepting perhaps the old elven sorceresses. You should see her cast spells. Light and graceful she is, not like that old tart de Tanzaville.
You know Sheila?
I've seen her cast spells. I've seen all the great sorceresses at work. Sheila's quite manly in her style. Precise, logical, exceptionally composed. But she lacks grace and suppleness.
Is that your opinion? Or are you just repeating what Philippa says?
We agree in our assessment. Triss Marigold, on the other hand, is talented. But she lacks determination, courage, and a certain cold willfulness that seems necessary.
That's interesting.
Kira Metz and Margarita Lo Antiel are both blasé, seemingly resigned. One's a hedonist and nymphomaniac. The other cares only about her school. They lost enthusiasm for magic long ago. Then there's Francesca Finderbear. Nobody really knows what the old she-elf is capable of. But she's clearly very powerful.
I take it Philippa has none of these flaws, but she must have some weakness.
Ambition. Infinite, boundless, and burning like the Korath Desert.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, how much does a magic course cost these days?
I'm certain you can't afford it, Witcher. Besides, you're too old.
No matter. I have a few of my own tricks as it is.
You mean Witcher's signs? Philippa can conjure up the illusion of a garden full of flowers, fruit trees, and young elves of both sexes copulating merrily all the day. And the illusion is complete. The flowers have an aroma. The fruit and she-elves are juicy.
Invite me over the next time she conjures up this garden. I'd gladly see it. Professional curiosity.
Naturally. But I doubt Philippa's in the mood for complicated illusions. She focuses all her efforts on Saskia.
I'm trying to learn something about the Wild Hunt.
Very interesting phenomenon. Like all mysterious things.
Willing to share what you know?
Well, I would be. provided you found the notes of Morton Collis first. He devoted almost his entire life to researching the hunt. We could go into detail if you had his scribblings.
I found Morton Collis's notes.
So, let's see what you've learned.
Well, there are a few documented facts, but Collis notes the existence of plenty of myths and legends.
Very true. Where shall we start, then?
Collis claims the hunt's appearance can be predicted by observing the Orcan Nebula.
And eclipses affect how often it appears. In any case, it arrives on the winter solstice, though not necessarily every year.
Collis calculated that the hunt slips into our world in those years when the nebula is in the eastern sky. When I pursued the hunt, I passed through many abandoned villages.
Well, the wild hunt abducts young people.
What for?
The Wraiths might need workers, warriors, or meat.
Collis seems to favor the slave theory. People say the hunt's appearance is an omen of war.
In our times, wars are so frequent, we might even consider flights of honking geese as their harbinger. The hunt traverses our world in winter. Wars usually break out in spring, but only because rulers wish their soldiers to die in battle, rather than of cold.
First and foremost, Collis studied the hunt's movement.
Oh, it's well known that the wild hunt moves north to south, never in the opposite direction.
That's what I remember, and Collis's research confirms it. I'm just having trouble understanding why that is.
The retinue's trajectory brings it into our world at the North Pole. Thus, once here, the Wraiths can only move south.
What's the sorceress's take on the hunt?
The topic makes them uneasy. Since the Council and Conclave banned the use of mind spells, the wild hunt has been a taboo topic.
There's some link between mental spells and the cavalcade?
Both addle the brain. Anyone who has come in contact with the wild hunt has experienced mental instability that either takes the form of insanity or amnesia. You see, the Wraiths emit a magnetic field that severely distorts perception and impedes brain functions.
Let's summarize.
Based on his observations and calculations of the wild hunt's movements, Collis arrived at two equally important conclusions. The first was that the hunt is made up of knights who perished in various worlds and have reconvened as a retinue of vengeance. His second hypothesis states that an unknown, extremely powerful force multiplies Wraiths, whose task is to travel between worlds in search of slaves. Both theories seem probable.
Each time someone runs into the hunt, the Wraith's magnetic field causes their mind to descend into chaos. By inference, another meeting with the hunt and its field should reverse the effects of the first.
Perhaps. Someone who lost their memory or their mind on their first meeting with the hunt could recover either on the second meeting. But I'm afraid that's unproved. Anyone who has managed to escape the Wraiths would rather die than meet them again.
So, you can lose or recover your memory by meeting the wild hunt.
Do you know something I don't?
I have amnesia, but my memory's been coming back since a certain event.
Since when?
Since I killed a specter, the king of the wild hunt.
So I've met him once before.